Hello everyone, this is DadBod Tactical Gamer, and I'm coming to you today with a quick overview of my objective-based orc deck. So I'll talk quickly about the general strategy, I'll give you a quick overview of the fighter cards, and then we'll kind of get into the way that I've been playing these guys lately. So first things first, let's take a look at the warband. So to start, you've got Gurzag, your leader. Awesome fighter, some of the best baseline stats in the game. 5 health. This is going to be your primary tank. He can soak up a lot of damage, being able to also feed back 3 damage on his basic attack before he's even inspired. This guy is your primary character. You're going to use him the most throughout all of your matchups. When he inspires, really nice thing here, you get to re-roll 1 attack dice when he makes his attack action. That's huge, guys. If you run in for that unbelievably clutch charge and you whiff, re-rolling it to sometimes get a hammer or a critical is going to be key in these games. Moving next, we got Bonekutta. 2 damage attack on 2 dice uninspired. Nothing too impressive. However, he can hold his own. A nice 4 wound fighter, being able to peel out some damage. And the nice thing is, when he goes inspired, you're going to gain a damage point. Having 3 damage is pretty sweet. You pop 1 upgrade on there for +1 damage, and you now have someone who can take out any fighter in the game except Gurzag. So a really solid backup plan in case your leader gets taken out of action early. So Gurzag and Bonekutta, these 2 guys are going to be the 2 fighters that you're using to sort of hold back the enemy, to make sure that engagements are scary and threatening for your opponent if they come into your board. Then next we have really what I consider the 2 village idiots, Haka and Basha. What I love about these guys is they have 4 health. That's going to allow you to usually soak up an attack or 2 from the enemy, but when it comes to trying to swing back, they're rolling on swords. So that's only 2 out of the 6-sided die, and it's just not a very effective attack. 1 damage uninspired. If they've taken damage to inspire, they go up to 2 damage. 3 dice on swords isn't the worst. It's about a 52% chance to land a successful attack. But honestly, guys, if you are going to rely on either of these 2 trying to take out an opponent, I think you're already doomed. They are really just used for placeholders, getting onto an objectives, holding strategic points. I don't use these guys in most of my game plan whatsoever. So let's go on to the objectives. As you can see from my objective summary over here on the right, we do have a total potential glory of 18. So I'll walk you through my thought process so far. So Denial, this is a great card for the Orks because you're usually scary enough that the opponent doesn't want to come hard into your end. This one's situational. For some fighters or warbands works great, other times not so much. Just drop it if you don't think it's going to get scored in the game. Then I took hold objective 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Really because I've had terrible luck trying to play aggressively with the Orks. I just find other warbands do it so much better. And so I want every possible option available to me on the board with objectives. Supremacy for obvious sake as well. If I'm holding objectives and I can get onto 3 of them, especially if I get the advantageous board placement, I want that. It's going to go very well with my overall strategy. Next we move on to Tactical 1 and 2 and Tactical 3, 4. Pretty self-explanatory, guys. I am taking everything that is going to allow me to hold objectives, and these 2 cards can be very clutch, and I've got some tricks in my ploy deck to help me score these cards. Ploy Master, simply because it's an easy passive glory that's pretty hard for your opponent to stop. Occasionally I've had a hard time scoring this card, but overall it's pretty simple. Then lastly, you're going to see Change of Tactics, obviously making a charge action. Don't even have to be successful, which is the best part of this card. Change of Tactics is arguably the best objective card in the game because it's a surge. You score it immediately and get to cycle into another objective, and it's just so easy. And then Defensive Strike, because typically I'm going to be defending my end since I want to hold Denial. This one, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's another way to try and cycle through objectives rather quickly. So on to the real juice of this deck, which is going to be all of my ploys that I've decided to take. So you're going to see a very, very consistent theme here of board manipulation and movement. So right off the bat, we've got confusion. This is going to allow me to make a charge at the enemy, and whether I usually actually don't even want to succeed at the attack, but let's say he's got a guy on an objective, I move beside it, confusion on, great card to get onto an objective right at the end of a round. Sidestep, obviously, if he pushes me off an objective, I want to get back on. Now, this card, brutal but cunning. This card has scored me so many objectives. You make an attack action, and then you get to push your fighter 3 hexes. This could be charging at someone, taking them out of action, and then pushing yourself onto an objective. This card's just worked out so well for me so many times, it's incredible. Distraction, this is a card that is twofold. A, it's going to help me stop an opponent from scoring a supremacy or a key objective or getting someone off of what I think they're trying to do. Or, secondarily, it's going to move someone off of an objective that I want to hold at the end of the round. Very important card. Hidden Pass. So Hidden Pass, pretty self-explanatory. I get to teleport a fighter anywhere. Typically, if I've lost the board roll and my opponent's had the ability to place 3 objectives in his end, 99% of the time, people are placing that last objective on an edge hex. Hidden Pass is going to allow me to transport directly onto it. Now, let's say they don't. There's a pretty cool trick where you can play Hidden Pass, go to an edge hex, and then play Confusion to swap onto that objective. So Hidden Pass works really, really well with Confusion. Great cards to have. Shifting Shards, again, if my opponent plays a distraction or does something to knock me off one of the objectives that I need to hold, Shifting Shards is going to bring it right back to me. Confuse Priorities, so this goes really well with trying to hold those specific objectives. Confuse Priorities has gotten me Tactical Supremacy 1 and 2, Tactical Supremacy 3 and 4. I have used this card so many times and it's worked out beautifully. Duel of Wits is then simply in my deck to help me score Ploymaster and also just cycle through ploys. If I have Ploymaster in my hand, I play Duel of Wits and get to draw up 2 more cards. Hopefully that those 2 more cards are more ploys to get to that objective. Also, if I'm in a position where I don't like the way the board is laid out and what's going on the battlefield, sometimes Duel of Wits will give me some of these key movement ploys to make my game keep rolling. Flickering Step, again, I want to get back onto an objective. You get to roll 8 dice and then push up to the total number of crits rolled. I've been lucky. I have never blanked on this roll yet. Typically, I'm getting just 1 critical out of the 8 dice, but that's more than enough. It's like basically having another sidestep. And if I'm lucky and in a real desperate situation, you roll 2, 3, 4 criticals, and you're just flying across the board. Spoils of Battle, it's just a great card overall, allowing me to kind of get a key piece of equipment on in the game for free without spending that glory. And then Inspiration and My Turn. My Turn's in there because all of my fighters can soak up a hit, and My Turn is really allowing me to strike back with a little bit more lethal force. This is my one card to sort of help the thing that I lack, which is the ability to take out the opponent. So it's a nice sneaky little card to have in there. And then Improvisation, again, helps me score Ploymaster, and if I absolutely need to hold an objective at the end of the round to score big glory, I'll play Improvisation in hopes that I get to draw a card like Flickering Step or Sidestep or something else. Alright, now we're moving on to the upgrades that I've taken for this objective-based build. So Great Fortitude, again, I need to keep my guys alive to hold those objectives throughout the game. And this card's going to allow me to do it. Great Strength, it allows me to turn either Gurzag into a one-shot beast against those Stormcast Eternals, or get Bone Kutta up to the much-needed 4 damage that I need to take out some of those high threats. Also, in a pinch, and I know I said I don't like to attack with Haka or Basha, but it does, if they're inspired, it turns them into a 3 damage fighter, so it's got a lot of purpose in this deck. as I move down, obviously I took the keys. Very, very clutch for an objective-based build. Depending on how the deployment has gone, these are very situational, but you can count on scoring at least 1 to 2 keys in a matchup, which adds 2 to 4 glory to your overall game plan. So Blazing, Dazzling, and Fractured key, if you hold the specific objective that they're talking about, you're going to get 2 glory at the end of the game. Hallowed key comes up next. This card is holding hold objective 1 as well, so another one of those generic keys. The Awakened Weapon, this is again to add to a little bit of the aggressive nature of defending my end. This goes great onto Bone Kutta, turns into a bit of a beast. Destiny to Meet is going to give me 1 additional glory on someone who's alive at the end of the game. Free glory, I will take it. Deathly Fortitude, if one of my fighters is close to being taken out of action, this card is going to keep me in the game for quite a bit longer. Pop that on Gurzag and he goes to 7 wounds. Incredible Strength again for +1 damage, and then Formless Key and Shadowed Key, going for holding objectives at the end and gaining additional glory. So there you have it, folks. That takes you through the overall game plan for my objective-based orcs. So you can watch some of my other gameplay videos where I've played these guys to great success, coming up with some really sweet combos. I think one of my favorite card combos in this deck is using Hidden Pass and Confusion to take an orc from the very back of your board into your enemy's board onto an objective that he wasn't expecting. You could pull off some really, really fun combinations with this deck, all while relying on Gurzag to beat the snot out of anyone that comes close to him. I hope this deck build inspires you. I'm going to continue to do deck builds on every warband within the game. I like to focus on mastering a specific warband and really coming up with a combination that I find wins a high percentage of the time. So far, I've got a deck build posted for the Stormcast Eternals with Severin Steelheart's Champions. Here's my build that I've been thoroughly enjoying with the Orks. If you've got a warband that you'd like me to review next, just let me know in the comments. If you'd like to set up a game where we play one another, let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to growing the community, inspiring other players to play at an ultra competitive level, and really keep growing the support for this game. So thank you so much, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any additional tips or suggestions, just let me know. I would love to continue to craft this objective-based deck.